My name is Ally Aldridge. I am a UA contemporary fantasy author. So that means that my books are aimed at teens, although anyone can enjoy them. The contemporary fantasy means that it's fantasy elements set in a real world. I also work during the day for a mental health charity in the HR department, and I also have a young family and my husband, and that's who I spend most of my spare time with, and then I try to fit in reading and writing wherever I can. So here is my latest book. It is Ocean Heart. It is a UA contemporary fantasy. It's the first book in the Soul Heart series, and I'll just read you the blurb from the back. So the blurb says, being a mermaid brings a new depth to It's Complicated. High school teen Mariah's life is anything but simple. Between a crush on her best friend and a rivalry brewing with a swim team star, her powers awaken early. When Mariah's guardian meddles in her life with magic, she causes more harm than good. The Soul Reapers are coming, and there's a werewolf hungry for merblood. All secrets wash ashore sooner or later, and Mariah's about to discover hers. Mixing a misty love life with deadly powers will whip up a storm of trouble. Can Mariah contain it, or will she be swept up in its wake? A gripping story about a mermaid, self-acceptance, and romance that literally sparks. So there is so much I could talk about on this topic because so much inspired my story, but I had recently just finished reading a series by Rachel Vincent. The first book's called Stray. It's about werecat shifters, and I really love the idea that it was something different to your typical werewolf shifter. And I'd also read Twilight, and I love all that kind of like UA fantasy kind of stuff. So it got me thinking, like, could I write a shifter story for teens? And I wanted it also to be set in my hometown, Felixstowe. So that was a lot of fun to add all the fantasy elements into my hometown and the local high school. I also have always been a big fan of The Little Mermaid, so things that I've always wanted to write a novel about is fairies and mermaids, so this was a chance to bring mermaids to life in the real world. And the other one was, at the time I started writing the novel, I was playing a game called City of Heroes. It's a massive multiplayer online role-playing game where you get to create a character that is a superhero or a supervillain, because they also brought out supervillains, and you created your power arc, which is like the powers you had. It's very similar to the sort of things you might see in an anime cartoon where there's like, as you power up you get better powers, so like that's what I mean by a power arc. And I really wanted to have magical abilities within my story, so the character I was playing on the game had weather manipulation powers, and I wanted to give that to my mermaid because I felt that those sort of powers suited her, because you often see mermaids in like history, like mythology and stuff like that, teasing sailors away in storms and crashing their boats on rocks and things like that. So I thought that the powers were quite suitable for her. Okay, so the main character is Mariah. A lot of people have asked me if she is based on myself because she has got red hair, which I do have red hair, but she's not me. One of the things though that I did put in there that is from me is that when I was growing up I got picked on a bit about my red hair. That doesn't happen in this story. However, it made me feel like I didn't fit in anywhere, that I was a misfit, and made me a bit socially awkward because I didn't like myself. And it wasn't until I grew older that I realised that this isn't something that's isolated to being a redhead, that lots of teens go through their own self-acceptance dilemmas themselves, and so I wanted to explore that within a fantasy element. So with Mariah, she discovers that she is a mermaid, and then she has to go through the whole acceptance of the fact that she's not even human, and she already wasn't very keen on herself. She was comparing herself to other people that she thought were more beautiful, more clever, more better at being social than she is, so everybody else is better than Mariah. But by the end of the story, she's learned to accept herself and be happy with herself and who she is, and I think that's a good lesson or story for us all to go through with her. Okay, so I have loved writing my whole life. As somebody who was a bit socially awkward, a bit shy, I often felt safer in my own company, like just going away and doing stuff on my own, which writing is a solo activity most of the time. And I really enjoyed being able to create my own worlds, my own characters. I enjoy being surprised by my own stories. I enjoy when you have a plot problem and you have to like problem solve, like how am I going to get my character out of this pickle. I also enjoy when I know that getting my character into a terrible situation is important for the plot, and I have to think, how can I steer them into there so that it's believable that they would have made all those bad choices. Yeah, so I do torture my characters. I also do try to help them out of their sticky situations as well, but I really enjoy it. So my first piece of advice would be to just start writing. You can sit down with a bit of paper, jot down some ideas about what sort of story you want to write. Some people like to have a clear idea of who the character is, or a clear idea of the setting. Some people like to really detail out what they want to happen in each chapter before they start writing. For me, I just kind of write a skeleton outline, so it's like bullet points of the main things that I know need to happen throughout the story, and it's okay to deviate from that as long as I don't deviate too far. But I would also say not to be put off by the quality of your writing. I found that when I finished Ocean Heart and I started working on Sky Heart, I had got to a point with Ocean Heart where it had been edited so much that it was a really good story. It's brilliant. And then when I went back to drafting and writing my raw, it reminded me how hideous and horrible and rubbish my writing is, and I was starting to beat myself up because it wasn't that end product quality that I had been working on for like a year and had become accustomed to, and I had to accept the fact that first drafts are rubbish, but you have to get the story out onto the paper or the screen, because it's usually electronic documents these days, and then you need to pick through it and make sure that it's all working, that the plot's working, and find problems that you need to fix, self-edit, get all the spelling mistakes out, because when you're rushing, when you're in like that zone writing and you're just bashing out the story, you will make so many mistakes. It's going to be hideous. But it's also really important to understand that a final product, a final book that you see on shelves and shops has been edited usually quite a few times. Traditional books are often edited at least 3 times before they go out, quite often more than that. So there's nothing wrong with thinking your writing is rubbish. That's all part of the process when you're just getting that rough draft down. Just go for it. Okay, so Ocean Heart is available to buy from all good bookshops. Sometimes you have to ask the person who orders the books in for the store to order it in for you, but they should be able to get it for you because Ingram Sparks distributes to all major bookstores. You can also buy it online from most popular bookstores like Amazon, WH Smith, Barnes & Noble. It's in their catalogues. You just order it and they basically order it in the same as if you went into the bookshop and asked them to order it. Also, it's available as an ebook, and you can order that from most ebook retailers, so anyone that's very popular. So you've got Amazon, you've got Kobo, you've got Apple Books, you've got Google Play Books. It's on all of them. It's also available through Smashwords, so if you buy the ebook through Smashwords, you can then download it to any e-reader device and it saves it in your library. So say you had a Kindle and then your Kindle got broken, then you're reading on your phone using the Apple Bookstore, you could then still log into your Smashwords library and download the book on there and still read it. So I don't know why Smashwords isn't more popular, because I think that is brilliant. You own the book, not the app. Also, it is available in libraries. This was something that was really important to me when I was self-publishing. That's why I'm not in Kindle Unlimited. I wanted everyone to be able to access my book regardless of their situation. So if you want to read the paperback, you just need to go and ask your library to order a copy, and they will get it in stock, and then you and anybody else who wants to borrow it from the library can borrow it. And also it's available on Overdrive, which is the ebook library service. So my local library uses an app called Libby, and they just order the ebook in for that county's library. I just imagine there's a similar thing in America, but yeah, my book is available for libraries to purchase in stock so that their local communities can enjoy Ocean Heart for free. Oh, and the one last place I forgot to mention is you can also buy it from my Ko-fi store, which is Ko-fi/redfae, and if you buy from me on there, I can do a signed copy. In the UK, I can sign a physical copy and send it to you. If you live in another country, obviously the shipping can be expensive. So I also have another option, which is where you get a print copy of the book, but I tell Ingram Sparks to print the book with an additional page in the front where it is signed personally by me and written personally, like dedicated to you. So it is your own personalised copy, but it just comes out of the printing machine. So there are the many options for buying Ocean Heart if you would like a copy. Finally, if you would like to learn more about me, I'm quite active on Instagram. My handle is @redfae. I'm also on Twitter @redfae7, but I'm afraid I don't use Twitter as often. You can also find me on YouTube @author Ally Aldridge. I am working on trying to create more videos for YouTube, but it's just finding the time to make the videos. I also have a blog, and I write and post quite often on my blog on my website, which is www.allyaldridge.com, and Ally is spelled like this: ALLY, Aldridge, ALDRIDGE, so I don't want you not to be able to find me. And the other place to find out what I'm up to and to support me is on my Ko-fi page, which is KOFI for Ko-fi, which is kind of like buying someone a cup of tea or a coffee to support them, but you can also go on there for free because I don't have any paid membership on mine. It's just a place to use the shop to sell stuff, and it's redfae on there, or for Ally Aldridge, and just find me as redfae on Ko-fi. Thank you.